Good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along again. I appreciate it. Boy, the story today is tariffs. Hard to get away from it, actually. You're getting a lot of reaction from other countries. So, more in a moment.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little tall on radio. Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show, Thursday, April 3rd. And the story this morning is tariffs. And I really appreciate what Scott Bessent, who is the Treasury Secretary, is saying. He's saying to these other countries, do not retaliate. He's telling them to kind of, something I mentioned to you a lot is let's all take a breath. Let's take it easy. Let's not overreact. We live in a world of overreaction. There's a lot of that's going on. So Scott Bessent said, my advice to every country right now is do not retaliate. Sit back, take it in. Let's see how it goes. You know what? That is great advice. That is great advice. Not only do these other countries, but everybody throughout the world, relax, take it in. Let's see how it goes, rather than having these, knee-jerk reactions to everything. And then he went on, he said, because if you retaliate, there will be escalation, he said. So he was on Fox News yesterday with Brett Baer. And he said, if you don't retaliate, this is the high water mark. So in other words, this is as bad as it's going to get. Don't make it worse by retaliating, or it's going to then you'll see a trade war that will begin. And so he's telling the globe to, rest easy, take it in, wait a little bit, let's see how it goes. This is the worst moment right now. So moving forward from here. And I thought, you know what? He put it very, very well. Just do not escalate this. So the president yesterday unveiling the tariffs and with a lot of graphics and is showing, the amount of tariffs that other countries are imposing against the United States. You're talking about some countries, especially over in Southeast Asia in that area, who have got tariffs against the United States of between 90 and 95%. I mean, it's wow, and it's just absolutely incredible. And what you see is, even as you look at the president had charts, he shared them on True Social. And what you see is the amount of tariffs that other countries are charging to the United States. And even at 30%, the United States still is not, not touching some of these other countries in terms of what they're, or I should say, the United States. You're looking at, tariffs generally of about 10% against these countries, and many of them 30, 40, 50%. As I mentioned, there are some that are in excess of 90% in terms of the tariffs that they're imposing. You want to take a look at that, I would suggest going to the president's True Social account. He's got, and check out the graphics, because he shared a number of them. And there are like 4 or 5 pages of it. I printed one out, and I'm like, man, doing this is just way too much to be able to boil it down and share with you. So some of the Now, keep in mind, when we talk about China, we are talking about the United States with a percentage, I believe currently now it's like 34% that we are that we're charging on Chinese products. And there are a lot of, this is The Guardian says, they've got a piece this morning, 5 key takeaways. You've got countries bracing for what this means. He said China has been hit particularly hard by the new tariffs. No, excuse me, I think I misspoke. They're saying the total levy on Chinese imports will go to over 50%. And they're saying the real target here is China. The Guardian also says key trade partners Canada and Mexico are spared. They will still feel the pain. And you've got Canada and Doug Ford up in Canada still reacting like, this is the end of all times. Some of the 5 key takeaways from the Guardian. This is a big gamble. I don't think it is. They're very left wing. Absolutely nowhere is immune, nor should anybody. I mean, you're a trading partner of the United States. Why should anybody be immune? We've got a trade imbalance with these countries. Why should they be immune? Anyway, you've got the Prime Minister of Canada last evening. He's vowing to fight the new round of tariffs. And Carney said President Trump has just announced a series of measures that are going to fundamentally change the international trading system. Isn't that what this is all about? Isn't that what this is all about? I mean, even I have understood that. And I'm hardly a global wheeler and dealer and trader and even I have understood this. How can things be so obvious to some of us, and yet the so-called learned among us are just absolutely in the dark? So Carney said we're in a situation, there's going to be an impact on the U.S. economy, which will build with time. In our judgment, it will be negative on the U.S. economy. Really, is it going to have why are they so concerned about what impact it's going to have on the U.S. economy? I just have a really hard time believing that Canada has got the interests of the U.S. economy front and center. That they are, because nobody's like that. Nobody's like that. I mean, nobody rational, because you have the interests of your country. You love your country. You have the interests of your own country front and center. So what this is going to do, I just have a really hard time with these people, whether it's from Canada or anywhere else in the world, saying that how hard it's going to be on Americans. We have people saying a lot of things, and I just really kind of find, some of this a little bit tough to believe. Is it going to be tough on Americans? Maybe, possibly. We'll see. Do they have our best interests at heart? And you're up in Canada or you're in some other country, they have the best interests of Americans at heart? Probably not. I mean, are those interests first and foremost? Of course not, nor should they be. So I just really have all this tough talk. And so then you've got Doug Ford up in Ontario, who was talking about this. This was on CNBC yesterday. And he's now saying that if Donald Trump will remove all the tariffs, Canada will drop all the tariffs. This is so, isn't that the point? Isn't that? I think that's part of the point here. Anyway, Doug Ford said, he was asked, do you think it's fair that you have tariffs on a whole number of products? And he clearly doesn't. He said, we'd be willing to take those off tomorrow. If we took all the tariffs off, we are not the problem. Do you know what the problem is? China is the problem. He's taking a blind eye to China as they continue to build their critical mass. So again, that is laughable. I just told you, even the left-wing Guardian is talking about the amount of tariffs that are on China in excess of 50%. And here you've got Doug Ford up in Canada saying we're taking a blind eye to China. 50% tariffs. Canada's facing nothing like that in terms of U.S. tariffs. So just the dishonesty, I think, of some of these people, and it is just a little bit too much for me to stomach. Also, the president on True Social this morning, because True Social is often setting the news. It certainly did yesterday. And you'll hear that as I go through stories that are trending this morning. They're all stories I told you about yesterday. A number of them centered on the president's True Social account. So the president yesterday afternoon said Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune have been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our One Big Beautiful Bill, as it is known, as well as getting us closer to the debt extension necessary to continue our great work. The Senate budget plan gives us the tools we need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts, spending cuts, energy, historic investments in defense, border, and much more. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. Senate plan has my complete and total support. Likewise, the House is working along the same lines. Every Republican, House and Senate, must unify, capital letters. We need to pass it immediately, the president said. Also, the president met with White House officials yesterday to discuss the future of TikTok. And you see now Amazon is stepping into the fray there. Potentially Amazon has placed a bid on TikTok. That story actually is trending this morning, so I'll have more on that for you here in a few minutes as we take a look at trending news stories this morning. Also, there is a story about a Texas high school football star. And you'll find this at the New York Post. It's one of their top stories this morning. Austin Metcalf, who was stabbed in the heart, left to die at a track meet. And his father is saying he was left to die in his twin brother's arms. This was following a fight over a seat at a track meet. So he was stabbed in the heart. This is what his father is saying. Attending this track and field championship between area schools happened a few days ago. And it was a scuffle over a seat. And this the guy wielding the knife apparently told he was sitting in the wrong seat, drew a knife, stabbed him in the heart. And meanwhile, his brother is right there. And it's his father who's sharing the story. And he said, you know, he went to try to save his brother, and he said, I looked at my brother and I'm not going to talk about the rest. I tried to help him. They're identical twins. Can you imagine what that would be like? The absolute heartbreak of that. Also, you may have heard Clay and Buck talking yesterday about this because I heard it. They were talking about this father down in Georgia who was arrested for leaving his 3 young children unattended at a McDonald's, and saying then that he had been looking for work and it was a job interview that he went through. Yeah. You may not know, Clay Travis is the founder of Outkick. So Clay Travis has had, and the team at Outkick have been on this story. And the latest here, it's what we're learning is not good. You know, he's saying he went over and he had filled out an application. He had a job interview, video shot. No, he didn't have a job interview. He just went in there, filled out an application, and they did an informal interview. So he was there for a short period of time, did a very informal interview, and saying he was expecting a call back, so on. And this, a lot of what he's claiming is just not holding up under scrutiny. So you had a lot of folks reacting to this. His dad, and he left his kids at the McDonald's. One of them, and I think their ages, they were 1, 6, and 10 years old. I don't know that it's the 6 and the 10-year-old that causing a lot of concern here. It's the 1-year-old. The 1-year-old, and his story is just not holding water. And there have been GoFundMes that were immediately started for this. And again, you kind of need to wait and find out what's really going on before you. I mean, that's just good advice all the way around. You had a lot of people who were reacting to this yesterday, and kudos to Clay and Buck, because I thought they both were, we got to find out some more here. We've got to learn some more before we, and the more we learn, it's not looking good for the father. It appears that he's not been entirely truthful about the length of time he was gone, why he was gone, so on. Also, man, I saw this at Fox Weather. This tornado that ripped across Arkansas. Have you seen the video? The video or the photos of that thing? Wow! It's just like, man, these are storms you really don't want to fool around with, and it just absolutely incredible. So there were dozens of reports of severe weather yesterday, and again, a number of areas that were hit by tornadoes, and some of the video of those is just I find it just jaw-dropping. You know, you look at those and how devastating those storms can be. Also, now I find this very, very interesting. And the folks over at Kettleland TV have this story. You'll find this story at Kettleland, at Kettleland.com. That's TV's website. During the Sioux Falls School Board work session yesterday, they discussed a cell phone survey that was recently undertaken. And this was a series of surveys that were sent to middle and high schoolers, parents, teachers, principals, and primarily they were focused all on cell phones. Cell phones. Should cell phones be allowed on buses? Should cell phones be allowed in the lunchroom? When you're in the hallway between classes, in the classroom, when should cell phone use be allowed? And it's really rather interesting. And you get through this looking at it, they're asking about elementary school, and they said, should cell phones be used by elementary students during the school day? This is interesting. 90% of parents said no. 97% of teachers said no. 95% of principals said no. So you've got more teachers and principals who are saying elementary school elementary school students should not have their cell phone in class, and you got fewer parents who now that's pretty striking. And I think that's worth talking about this morning. So we'll get to that. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. 627. Cloudy skies, 35. And this hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weekdays at 2. Callow, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Callow Hotline is sponsored by
fewer parents, opposed to cell phone, their elementary school kids having cell phones than teachers. And shouldn't it maybe be the other way around? Shouldn't parents be the first ones to say no cell phones? You're in elementary school, no cell phone. Again, there are times, I think all of us understand this. You're on the bus, and those are the questions they ask. What about on the bus? Should kids be allowed to use their phones on the bus? I think most of us are okay with that, and they're not asking, phones are allowed under emergency situations, so on. So take all of that out of the mix. We're just talking about general cell phone use.
Seems everything costs more these days.
Now, that's intriguing to me. We'll talk about it this morning.
When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying.
It's not like I have school-age kids anymore. I mean, my kids are all grown. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. So feel free to drop me an email, of course, anytime, greg.belfrage@kelo.com. It's my email address.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information.
Bear with me, I'm stressing over stuff.
Explain how the timeshare industry works and your
that has nothing to do with this. Other work stuff, personal. My car is just costing me a mint right now. That has been a headache.
After some wet weather, temperatures today back in the upper 40s. Dry forecast on this Thursday.
Taking it back in for more service next week. Then after that, it'll have to go in and have a muffler replaced. It's like, man, that thing is, oh. And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, cloudy skies, 35 currently at Kello. Fox News coming up quick, so we'll get you more on the tariffs from Fox News. And then Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. The investigation continues into the two separate officer-involved shootings with the same suspect yesterday. That's always heartbreaking to me. I hate seeing law enforcement officers being shot. So Joe will have more details on that story for you coming up in moments. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
This will be indeed
the golden age of America.
President Trump's tariffs on imports from around the world meant to boost America's economy are condemned by leaders around the world.
The European Union's Ursula von der Leyen's warning of immense consequences.
Millions of citizens will face higher grocery bills.
She says the taxes will be a major blow to the world economy. China also unimpressed. Unilateral bullying, according to Beijing's foreign ministry.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. What the National Weather Service calls generational flooding could hit Tennessee and Arkansas.
We have a weather emergency underway with the potential for life-threatening, catastrophic flash flooding for cities across the central U.S. through the Ohio Valley and Mid-South. Over a foot of rain will fall through Sunday, filling up rivers and streams and bringing torrential downpours.
Fox senior meteorologist Janice Dean. America's listening to Fox News.
Weather brought to you by Infinity Sedation Dentistry, Sioux Falls. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Hello, News Time 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. The investigation continues into Tuesday's two separate officer-involved shootings with the same suspect. 25-year-old Samir Al-Baydani is accused of shooting an officer in Sioux Falls, taking off with a stolen vehicle, and then shooting at a state trooper. Court documents say the man hadn't been out of prison for long. Al-Baydani was released on parole at the end of October and was listed as a parole absconder. He had been serving time for burglary and grand theft in Minnehaha County. Authorities say the suspect also has a history of stealing guns. Both the Sioux Falls police officer and Al-Baydani are expected to recover. Day 2 of the Social Services Fraud Case trial ended yesterday with jurors listening to an audio recording of the accused, former state employee Lana Carroll, confessing to agents that she took the money. The prosecution entered photographs and detailed banking records into evidence before playing the 80-minute recording of Carroll's tearful confession and immediate arrest. The Attorney General's office says they could be resting their case as early as today. Add destructive severe thunderstorms to your list of possible weather warnings for the upcoming storm season. City Emergency Manager Regan Smith says that warning will sound identical to a tornado warning.
The city of Sioux Falls will now activate its outdoor warning siren system within city limits for tornado warnings and destructive severe thunderstorm warnings.
He also says it's important to make sure your cell phone settings allow wireless emergency alerts. The recent burn ban in Minnehaha County has been lifted. Officials say the rain and snow over the last few days have provided some relief to current drought conditions. Fire danger in the region has been updated to low. Governor Roden is back in Sioux Falls today. He'll be taking a tour of the Sioux Falls One Stop and visiting the local Poet Biofuels facility. It's the latest stop in his Open for Opportunity tour across the state. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
A blend of sun and clouds today in the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature at 48, northwesterly wind at 10 to 20. For tonight, increasing clouds, low at 32, and then tomorrow, a combo of chances of rain and snow, but primarily just some showers in the afternoon with a high near 50. For the weekend, temperatures staying in the 40s. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm Brian Karstens.
Focusing on news you can use, news that affects you. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Another giant leap has happened to take control of the global online search away from Google. OpenAI has unveiled a new ChatGPT feature that's racking up millions of new users every hour. I'm Kim Commando for Total AV, the award-winning antivirus software. It's yours for just $19 a year at protectwithkim.com. The new ChatGPT feature has sparked a viral tidal wave of new users, with Chat's new AI image generation. With no experience in art or graphic design, you can create unique, one-of-a-kind logos and incredible images.
I subscribe to ChatGPT.
You can retouch photos, make yourself look younger or older, whatever you want.
Oh, I love that.
Groundbreaking tech.
I make myself look like I've got hair.
From my perspective, the thing is spellbinding. I've created images of people, graphics, art, landscapes, and for anyone who is or considering becoming a graphic artist, you need a new career. Start your day with my free newsletter. Sign up at getkim.com. I hear this a lot. Bob from Chicago wrote me, I thought I was being careful. I got an email from my bank that looked legit. It said that there was suspicious activity, so I logged in to secure my account. A minute later, my money was gone and I was locked out of my account. Wow. Even the most careful people can get caught up by these clever hackers and scammers. That's why you need solid antivirus protection that instantly blocks harmful malware threats and viruses in real time, keeping your personal data and identity safe. Total AV is the award-winning antivirus software that I use and trust, and so do 35 million other people. Now, it could have stopped this from happening. Here's what you need to do. Go to protectwithkim.com right now and get Total AV for just $19 for the first year, covering up to 5 devices, including Windows, Macs, and smartphones. That's protectwithkim.com. Now, don't wait. I want you to go right now. Your security matters. Get protected right now. Go to protectwithkim.com.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
Are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare. With an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews, customer service is their priority. For a free consultation and a guaranteed solution, 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than what I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for limited time, customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save.
Looking at your comments here, Stephen Robert.
You may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here.
I am looking into doing all 3 hours on YouTube. One of the issues is we've got to wire our board into the feed so that you could hear the phone calls. Because currently what you're hearing me through, you're not hearing me through this mic. You're hearing me through the microphone on my camera, which is why it's got a different sound. It's one of the reasons why I have a identical camera down in my office. Difference being, I also have a microphone down in my office plugged into the computer. Well, this microphone, obviously, I would love to be able to bring you the entire show. Currently, I can't, which is why I only do the 6 a.m. hour. So does that make sense? But I've had conversations with our engineering team about doing it. Is there a way for us to set it up? How can I hook that up? And if we go that route, the difference would be you could not hear me when I'm off the air, as I am right now. So listeners right now, they're not hearing me, just you guys are. And I kind of enjoy that. So it's kind of it's give or take. I would like to be able to offer the entire show. But that's why we don't. Okay, let's see what I got coming up here.
Remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a sense come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company pays other insurers. Not available in all states.
Saw the greatest cartoon this morning, political cartoon. See that? Trump's third term, and the media is the dog. I see so much more stuff that I can actually share on the air, you know. All right, here we go. 20 minutes before 7, cloudy skies, 35. Oh, it's so great to have you along. And I'm just having the greatest conversation with the folks who are watching on YouTube this morning. And I know for a lot of you, you're getting up, you're getting going. The radio is your companion, but I got a small number of folks who watch the 6 a.m. hour. We do the 6 a.m. hour live every morning on YouTube. And then I do the 4th hour at 9:30 every morning from my office, both on YouTube and Facebook. And got a small number of folks who watch. If you haven't given it a shot yet, I hope you will. Join us when you have time. That would be very, very much appreciated. So we do it every day. Every day that you hear me on the air, I'm also on YouTube and I'm on Facebook. So I love having you along. Gives me an opportunity to share some of the stories that I don't have time to share with you on the air. And we have a lot of fun. I'm looking at their comments, reacting to them, and just appreciate having you along, whether it's, on the phones or online. So thank you. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now? Add them on Facebook. Let the tweeting here. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Guy.
All right, these are stories that are trending via Free Spoke this morning. And Politico had a story about Elon Musk, and is he leaving Doge, and is he going to the White House saying yesterday, no, Elon Musk is going to stay on. He's a temporary government employee, which means he can work for 130 days and then he has to take a period of time off. He also needs to get back to his businesses. And so the White House saying yesterday, no, Elon Musk is going to stay on for the entire 30 days. But here's Politico. Trump tells his inner circle that Musk will leave soon. So the president, this represents a shift in the Trump-Musk relationship. What in the world? And then, so I got into this story. I'm looking at Politico's story. And you start getting into it, and this is much ado about nothing. Is that, Elon Musk is going to leave after the 130 days. Duh, we've known that all along. Why is that story trending? Why is that such a big deal? And the White House is saying, nothing's changed, man. The media talk about that is the biggest much ado about nothing. Also, President Trump yesterday, and I told you about this, lashing out at 4 Republican senators yesterday on Truth Social. He named Senators Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. He accused them of playing with the lives of the American people, he said. And Senate Democrats had aimed a resolution. This was a resolution aimed at overturning the emergency declaration that the president used then to justify the tariffs. And you had 4 Republicans who were joining with the Democrats. I think I'm really disappointed in some of the things I've been hearing from Senator Rand Paul recently. The joining with the Democrats, when do you ever think that's a good idea? Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. Yeah, I understand that, but that story's trending this morning. Also, a judge yesterday dismissing the corruption indictment against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, and the judge dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning you can't bring it back. That's it. So the Biden Justice Department had claimed that Adams then inappropriately used his position as mayor to solicit illegal campaign contributions. What a laugh. Joe Biden did campaign contributions and what was going on in there. That whole thing was just a joke. So now there's a lot of speculation. Well, what is this going to mean now for Eric Adams? Will he be able to retain his position as mayor? And those are local politics. You've already had a number of people who have jumped into the race. I don't know. Keep in mind, that New York is fairly left. So even though Eric Adams has been moving at least a little bit to the right on some of these issues, I don't know. We'll leave that to folks in New York to decide. Also, Israel's finance minister on Tuesday signed a directive to immediately remove all tariffs on U.S. imports. And they actually did it ahead of the president's announcement yesterday on the reciprocal tariffs. So Israel was paying attention, and they decided we're going to remove all tariffs on U.S. goods. Also, Amazon is, they have submitted a last-minute bid to acquire TikTok, according to the Trump administration. So there's a deadline coming up Saturday. The platform either needs to be sold or to a U.S. buyer, or it'll be banned in the United States. And some of you who are watching on YouTube this morning are saying that I'm not on TikTok, and neither am I. I'm not on TikTok either. But that story is, if Amazon were to step into that, it would be very, very interesting, I think. Also, high school student was charged with murder after police say he fatally, where did that come from? Fatally stabbed another student at a track meet yesterday morning. And this was a confrontation between 17-year-olds, and he was killed. And Jeff Metcalf, who's the father, says his son Austin was killed. Another student who was armed with a knife got upset after being told he was in the wrong spot. And so he stabbed. His identical brother is also there, his identical twin. Identical twin brother is there, literally held on to him, trying to stop the bleeding, and dies in his brother's arms. Can you imagine such a thing? Wow, that's just a heartbreaking story. And we talked yesterday about the death of Val Kilmer, dying at the age of 65, and that story is trending this morning, as you might expect. It was a big, big story yesterday. It was a very interesting piece. I had not seen this yesterday. And Jim Carrey, who starred with Val Kilmer in Batman Forever, and he said, I'm remembering Val Kilmer today with great admiration for him as a man and as a generational talent who left us an enviable legacy of indelible acting performances, he said. His greatest artistic achievements were rivaled only by the grace and courage with which he endured his life's most challenging moments. wishing his family so much love. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Ron Howard also worked with Val Kilmer in Willow. And Ron Howard saying of Kilmer, I was incredibly fortunate to collaborate with Val a number of times over the years, both in Willow, and he said, his stunning Jim Morrison and Oliver Stone's The Doors, in a chilling cameo in The Missing. He said, I list these titles because even my own personal creative experiences reflect his awesome range as an actor. Check out his filmography. Amazing. It is. It's wild because I was looking at it yesterday. Said his art extended to his poetry, artworks, filmmaking, simply the way he lived. Bon voyage, Val, and thank you. So you've still got folks who are paying tribute to Val Kilmer, who died this week at the age of 65. Also, all-star outfielder Jackson Merrill and the San Diego Padres have agreed to a $135 million 9-year contract, according to the Associated Press. So the deal had not been announced yet, so nobody's going on the record, but they're talking about it. Merrill's deal includes a $30 million team option for 2035, and so on. Also, a story trending this morning about Carson Kelly becoming the first Cubs player in 32 years to hit for cycle. And you may not know what that means because I didn't. I don't. I mean, I enjoy watching a baseball game here and there. But in baseball, hitting for the cycle means a batter hitting a single, a double, a triple, and a home run in the same game in any order. So you don't have to do them in order, but if you hit a single, a double, a triple, and a home run in the same game, that's what we're talking about, that you hit for the cycle. And Carson Kelly, who is the catcher for the Chicago Cubs, has done exactly that. He hit a home run in the 4th inning and a 2-run single in the 5th inning and doubled and walked in the 6th inning. He's been a triple away from a cycle a few times before, but he got there, which is pretty incredible when you stop and think about it. Also trending this morning, a story about scientists saying they have developed a device that can translate thoughts about speech into spoken words in real time. Now, stop and think about this for a minute, because they have tested this device on a 47-year-old woman who wasn't able to speak for nearly 20 years after she suffered a stroke. So she had a stroke. When I see these stories, as a stroke survivor myself, they really get my attention. And here she is now with this help of this experimental brain-computer implant. She's speaking for about the first time in 20 years. And that is just absolutely amazing. So we're talking about health. The Department of Health and Human Services has initiated layoffs then, affecting thousands of employees across multiple agencies. You'll remember, and I shared with you recently, that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, vowed that he would do more with less. And so they've laid off thousands at CDC, FDA, and the National Institutes of Health. Also, the United States Department of Agriculture told Maine yesterday that it has frozen the state's federal funding because Maine has refused to comply with President Trump's executive order on men in women's sports. And Daily Wire is reporting on this, and the USDA told Maine you cannot openly violate federal law against discrimination in education and expect federal funding to continue unabated. Also, companies in the private sector added 155,000 jobs in March. This is according to firm ADP. So the figure is above the estimates of economists of 115,000 jobs, wound up being 155,000 jobs. Also, Nashville police released their final report on the Covenant school shooting. You remember this? This was an attack on a Christian school by a transgender shooter who killed third graders, 3 adults, and a lot of information coming out about that. And it is deeply troubling stuff as you hear about it and the lengths to which this transgender shooter went through. And that's a look at the stories that are trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks for starting your day with us. 6:57 this hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month, currently cloudy and 35 at Kello. Well, thanks for being here. I'll see you again at 9:30. Take care until then, my friend.